Tim Williams, everyone!
Thank you. Right, good evening. My name's Bob Monkhouse. I had some success as a game show host in Britain in the 1980s, but obviously things have gone rapidly downhill since then. So, I've spent the last 12 years living here. Yeah. Now, if you notice my hand shaking at any point, it's not because I'm nervous, it's because of the chronic alcoholism that has evolved during that time. Now, I wouldn't call myself a China expert exactly, but I'm definitely an old hand. And tonight, I'm going to do some observational comedy about my life here with the enthusiasm that deserves. China, right? China! Oh my God! Taxis, right? Taxis. Who's been in a taxi? Oh my God! So have I! It's the same! Taxis, right? Taxis, right? Taxis, yeah? Taxis. You get in a taxi, right? Chinese taxis are mental. You get in a taxi, right? And you're not wearing a seatbelt. And you're like, oh my God! That's mental! And then you're on the highway, right? You get on the highway, right? On the highway, right? In a taxi, right? And you're going really fast, and you're not wearing a seatbelt, and you're like, oh my God, this is mental, right? And then the traffic slows suddenly, doesn't it? Because there's obviously been some sort of accident up ahead, but you're too far away. It's not clear. You can't see what's happened. And then you get a little bit closer. You approach the scene of the accident, and you slow down even further, and you look at the wreckage. And that's when you see the bodies. And for a few brief moments, you're aware that you're looking directly at death. And that's when you realise that, ultimately, that's all there is. I think that's an observation that anyone who's lived here as long as I have can relate to. Right, my apartment, right? My apartment. Who lives in an apartment? Oh my God! So do I! Humanity. Pointing out the obvious. Right, my apartment, right? My apartment is mental. Every day, something goes wrong. Today, the electricity went off for no reason. I'm like, oh my God! That's mental. Yesterday, the water went off for no reason. I'm like, oh my God, that's mental. Every day, something goes wrong. There's cracks on the ceiling, there's plaster coming off the wall because the building hasn't been properly maintained. Right, and there's serious structural problems with the foundations that have been ignored because the building regulations haven't been followed. And you're asleep at night in your apartment, aren't you? And you get woken up by a noise. And you feel yourself falling through the air. Bits of masonry coming past you. And you think, oh, it's just a dream. But it isn't. The building's collapsed. And you're trapped under the rubble. Screaming, but no one comes. And then you start to run out of oxygen, and your whole life flashes before your eyes, and you think, I never thought it would end like this. And then the rescue team arrive, but it's too late. There's nothing they can do. Yeah. Funny when that happens, isn't it? Right, Chinese food, right? Chinese food. Who's had Chinese food? Oh my God! Chinese food, right, in China is completely different from Chinese food back home. Oh my God! Isn't that mental? Right? And you eat Chinese food, right? You eat Chinese food in China, and it's really spicy, isn't it? And it's so spicy, you get the shits. And you're walking around trying to find a proper toilet to shit into because you're on your way to work and you're wearing a pair of cream-coloured chinos and you don't want to shit in a squat toilet because you're worried that it will splash and you'll get speckles of shit on your ankles. And you're walking around for ages trying to find a toilet and you can't find one. And you're clenching really hard. And you relax your sphincter for a split second. And something comes out. And you think, oh, I hope that's just a fart. Then you feel the wet patch spreading on the back of your pants, and that's when you realise you've shit yourself. And you can feel it seeping through the back of your pants, and it's really obvious what's happened, and you think, oh, I'll tell people I sat in some chocolate, but it doesn't smell like chocolate. And you're walking around covered in your own shit, crying. And you think to yourself, this is what I came here for. Spiritual enlightenment. Right, Baijiu, right? Baijiu. Who's had Baijiu? Oh my God! Right, you smell Baijiu and you're like, oh my God, that smells mental. Right, and then you taste the Baijiu, right, and you're like, oh my God, that tastes even mentaler than it smells. Right, and they force you to drink, don't they? They force you to drink. You've got to keep drinking, right, even though you don't want to keep drinking. And you keep drinking, even though you don't want to keep drinking. And then eventually you realise that you do want to keep drinking. You can't stop drinking. All you want to do now is drink. Because there's nothing else. And you try and justify it to yourself, don't you? There's about 7 or 8 other foreigners here who are worse than me. I'm not an alcoholic. You are an alcoholic. You just don't care anymore. And you wake up one morning at 7 a.m. in a bush outside your apartment building, covered in your own vomit. You could have been robbed. You could have died. And you look at yourself and you think, Jesus, I've got to be at work in an hour. Boom! That is how it's done. Observational comedy. Right, and then, right, your mum calls, right? Your mum, right? Who's got a mum? Oh my God! So have I. My mum, right? My mum is mental. She asks all these mental questions like, how are you? What are you doing, right? And then she asks you all sorts of stuff about what you're doing, right? You've got to make things up, haven't you? Because you've got to try and pretend that you're accomplishing something with your life. That you've got a sense of purpose, even though you know you haven't, and you're just drifting aimlessly through life now. And she says, are you happy out there on your own? Are you happy? Are you happy in China? Are you happy? Of course I'm not fucking... Yeah, I'm happy. What are you doing out there? You're teaching English, aren't you? An English teacher out there in China. You're teaching... What's that like? What's it like teaching English in China? What's it like? Demeaning. Fucking monkey could do it. I am a monkey now. I've regressed to a Neanderthal. No, I'm worse. At least the Neanderthals had tools and produced things like primitive cave art and early farming technology. What do I produce? Bijo vomit and hot pot shit. I'm an even lower form of ape-like species. Have you got a girlfriend out there? Yeah? Is she Chinese? Yeah. What's her name? Pineapple. Pineapple? What, like the fruit? Is that a Chinese word? No, it's English. She called herself that. Why? She likes eating pineapples. Does she speak good English? No, it's shit. You speak to her in Chinese then, do you? No, I didn't bother to learn the language. What are your conversations like then? Inane. Is it serious between the two of you? Whatever. You getting married? Yeah. When? I haven't been told. Have you met her parents? Yeah? Do you get on with them? They hate me. Why? Because I don't drive a BMW or own a luxury villa. So what else are you doing out there apart from teaching English and having a girlfriend? What other things are you getting up to? Well, I started doing this stand-up comedy stuff at the shipyard, just something creative to stop my intellectual faculties from rotting away completely. And it's supposed to make me feel better, but it's just made everything worse. They all laughed at me when I said I was going to do it. Yeah, well, they didn't laugh when I did it, did they? That wasn't even an original joke. I stole it from Bob Monkhouse. So, when are you going to leave China then? I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. Nothing makes any sense now. The universe is just a barren wasteland of meaningless suffering and arbitrary cruelty. And it goes on and on and on. And what is there at the end of it all? You sound a bit depressed. I can tell. I can tell from the sound of your voice. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you really feel. I'm your mum. You can't hide it from me. Tell me how you feel. Be honest. I feel as though I've been pushed to the bottom of a very deep well. Both my legs are shattered. I can't crawl out. But it's so cold down here, I can't feel pain anymore. Can't feel anything anymore, except hate and fear. Fear. I could call out for help, but it's futile. I'm so far away from humanity now that it's just... The only voices of human comfort I can hear are my own terrified screams. reverberating against the sides of the well. Again and again and again. Jesus. I can't hear you. You're breaking up. It's just crackling. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? The screen's frozen. No, I think it's okay, I'll call you next time. Okay, bye, love. Bye. Okay, that's good night from me as well. Thank you.
Wow. Tim Williams, everyone. We just can't go a week at Shipyard Comedy Club without someone telling a shit yourself joke, can we? We can't do a week at Shipyard Comedy Club without the shit yourself joke and the Chinese tables leaving. Every week, it's the same story. Man shits himself, 8 people leave.